So I'm building out this SaaS business and I'm on this challenge. I want to take the SaaS business from scratch to $1 million ARR. That's this 1 million ARR challenge. And in this episode, I'm going to walk you through how we're generating leads for our SaaS business. I'm going to take you behind the scenes on exactly what our funnel looks like and how we're going about building this out to get to that 1 million ARR. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So if you missed last episode, on the last episode, I brought you behind the scenes as I'm taking this Sunday SaaS application from 0 to $1 million ARR. And in the last episode, I took you into my exact process that I followed to actually validate and kind of define my SaaS idea. We went into what our ideal customer profile is, what our manifesto is, and how we're running our Broadway show. If you missed it, I'll link to it below. You don't have to go to it right now. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we took all that stuff and how we're generating leads for our SaaS application. So to give you some context, here's what the SaaS application is. It's called Sunday, and what we do is we teach you how to plan your week in a very specific way. And once you plan your week, the application actually notifies you on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help you actually stay focused on how you planned your week, to help you course correct, and to help you celebrate your wins at the end of the week. The reason I created this is when I was a startup founder, I guess I'm still a startup founder now. Anyway, when I was running ToutApp, my last SaaS business, I realized it was super important to get your mindset right as a founder. Like half the battle was figuring out the strategy and the tactics of building a SaaS business. The other half was to essentially get your mind right. And so I started doing this thing where every Sunday I would sit down and I would plan out my week in a very specific way. And what that allowed me to do was actually overcome those Sunday scaries, the Sunday jitters, that angst, the Monday morning, like, oh my God, like there's so much going on. It helped me get centered. And so what I've done is I've codified that into a system that I teach people, and we created a whole app around it. So you can actually go to unstoppablesunday.com and sign up for the application if you want to try it out. And what it does is it teaches you how to plan your week. So once we started building out this app, and in prior episodes I've talked through how I validated the idea before I wrote a line of code and the traction that we have. But eventually got to okay, we have this application, we charge $9 a month and $99 for the year. How do we get more people to discover it, and how do we get people to sign up? And that's when we created what I call our unstoppable sales funnel. This is something that I teach in my go-to-market program to the SaaS founders that I coach. That's when I actually built out an unstoppable sales funnel for this Sunday application. So today I'm going to walk you through how we're generating leads for it. Now, typically, here's what happens. What ends up happening with a lot of founders, a lot of SaaS founders, and I've made this mistake before, is you create this application, and it is the best application ever, right? And then you go ahead and say, here is the homepage. And the homepage is this beautiful homepage that you created. Maybe you have all the features, and you start to drive traffic to it. You start driving traffic to it, and maybe like 2% of people sign up, and even less will actually activate. Now, by the way, in a future episode, I'm going to dig into how we track our core metrics. So if you are new to this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified for my future episodes where I continue to take you behind the scenes on taking this SaaS application to $1 million ARR. And while you're at it, hit that like button. It just means the world to us. Okay, so you have this homepage and you start telling people to go to this homepage, and a small percentage of these people will sign up because they don't really understand what you're really solving. It's not an immediate problem for them maybe, and it may not even be in your ICP. So it doesn't really work when you just do that. So the way I like to do it is I like to actually really well define my ideal customer profile, and then I like to create a manifesto. And then I like to create a Broadway show to actually generate leads through that, whom I then upsell to my application. So in my scenario, I covered this in the last episode, so I won't go into too much detail. I said that the people that I'm targeting are high achievers. A lot of them are startup founders, just like you. You're 25 to 45 years old, and what you're looking to do is lead a high performance lifestyle. You're trying to go after big goals. You know you're capable of more, and you need a way to actually keep your mind strong so that you can stay focused on actually executing on your goals and keep them clear. These are the people that really need this mindset training, this weekly planning training, so that they don't get burnt out. And I said, okay, I can just go in and say, do you want to plan your week? And some of them will take me up on it, some of them won't. The biggest thing that I learned was, in order to actually get people to get their attention, I had to promise them a better way of operating their whole life. No one wants just like a weekly planning thing, but people want to like transform how they run their life, a strategy for their life. And so I created this manifesto called a Life Planning Guide for high achievers. It's called the Unstoppable Life Planning Guide. And so this is how we actually generate leads for our SaaS application right now. So just to kind of set the context, we are in the early days on this. We get roughly 25 leads per week right now. And out of these 25 leads, about one of them will convert to a yearly plan. And so weekly right now, without spending any money, we're generating about $199 per week. Why do I mention this? This is sort of our anchor point. This is where we're at right now. And the whole point of this show, this Unstoppable Friday show, is I want to take you behind the scenes as we take this 25 leads per week and we scale it to hundreds of leads per week and multiple people converting and actually generating significant revenue, so we get to $1 million ARR. So this, you're getting in super early right now. This is not like we figured everything out, here's how we did it. This is literally like, I don't know how we're going to solve this, but we have a framework to follow, so we're going to follow our framework. So what is that framework? We follow this framework called Unstoppable Sales Funnel. If you want to learn more about an unstoppable sales funnel, if you want to actually build out a sales and marketing machine for your SaaS business, I have a go-to-market training. I'll link to it below. You can check it out. Or you can go to tkkader.com/GTM, where you can actually get the training and check out my program. So anyway, instead of just linking people to this homepage, what we said was, okay, here is our manifesto. And our manifesto is our life planning guide. And what happens is, what we said was, instead of just telling people you got to plan your week, we said, look, you want to lead a better life. You want to actually transform how you live your life. You want to have clear plans. You want to have clear goals. And by the way, in order to make those goals reality, you got to have the right mindset. You got to go into every week with an unstoppable mindset. So that's essentially what this guide, this manifesto teaches. And what I did was I created this manifesto, and I created a set of channels where I post, where I always upsell this manifesto. Once people download this manifesto, they actually go into a training. This is a webinar training that I run every week on how to actually create your life plan. And at the end of this training, I say, hey, by the way, you have the beginning version of a life plan. If you want to actually make this life plan a reality, the one thing you need to do is actually practice planning your week every week and review your life plan and review your progress. And we happen to have an application that helps you do that. We happen to have training that helps you adopt this. Do you want to buy? And that's how we essentially sell this $199. We sell the application and the training on this whole mindset shift that founders and other high achievers can do so they can run their lives as well as they run their business. And so there's two parts to this on how we're generating leads. The first part is this manifesto, right? This is our manifesto. The second part is this piece and this piece, this webinar that I run every week to educate these people, and these posts. I do 1 to 3 posts every week. I do one on Instagram, I do one on Twitter, and this is actually kind of part of my job doing this episode here for startup founders, because a lot of you would get value from having your mindset right. You can count this as YouTube. And what I always say is, what I basically do is I run a post every week on each of these channels, and I talk about living a proactive life, creating a life plan, and I upsell them to say, hey, if you want more of this, go download my Unstoppable Life Planning Guide. By the way, if you want to actually create a life plan, follow the link below. I'll link to it. And what ends up happening is every week I do 1 to 3 posts into my target audience in these social channels, and they go ahead and download my manifesto. They go through my manifesto, and then they get invited to this training, and they come into this training, and they get their life plan together, and then I say, hey, by the way, this life plan is just a piece of paper. It's just a bunch of goals, and it's good that you have a goal, you have a vision, like you have clarity in who you want to become, so this will help you be a better business operator, it'll help you transform your career, but none of this is going to happen beyond this webinar that you're part of unless you actually follow a weekly practice. This is why we have our software, we help you plan your week every week. We help you review your goals every week. And we notify you through the course of the week to stay on point, to keep the right mindset, to review your goals and to course correct, and then to celebrate your wins every Friday. And we teach you how to do all of this inside our application. It's $199 per year. Are you interested? And this essentially is what we call our unstoppable sales funnel. And there's essentially 3 key pieces to an unstoppable sales funnel. The first one is an ICP. I went a little bit more into this in the last episode. You can check it out. I'll link to it below. The second one is you create a manifesto. That's my unstoppable life planning guide. You can check it out down below. And the third thing that you do is essentially, and my drawing skills on this is getting better and better, you run a Broadway show. And the Broadway show is this, you just do this one thing that constantly pushes people through to my one funnel, which then sells them on our software and gets them to use it. Are you guys getting this? So what a lot of founders, a lot of SaaS founders do is they try to just send people to the homepage and they just spray paint it everywhere. They'll do content marketing, they'll run ads, they'll do blogging, they'll do inbound, they'll do outbound. And all these people show up and they have no idea why they need this software, why they need it now, why it's an urgent, important problem, because they have no context. Instead of me saying, hey, I'm gonna just like hope that they sign up and then they never come back, what I do is I take a much more of a teaching approach. And what I say is I go in and I educate my ICP, I figure out my ICP, and I educate them with my manifesto, and I get more and more people to discover my manifesto every week by running my Broadway show, which is this guy right here. So this is the framework we're following right now. We're at about 25 leads per week. Out of those 25 leads, it's completely organic. Only one of them sign up for a yearly plan, but it's about $199 per week. And so this is our start. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna slowly actually scale this. We're roughly at around 3K ARR right now because we've been practicing, we've been kind of dabbling in this for a little bit, but now we're doubling down on this. And on this show that I run every Friday, what I'm gonna do is take you behind the scenes as we tackle different aspects of it. So right now we know we have this unstoppable sales funnel, and we know we have this manifesto. We know we're generating leads. Now what we're gonna look into is like, okay, if we're getting 25 leads and only one is converting, how do we improve this? Is there parts of the application that we need to improve? Is there parts of the training we need to improve? Should we actually test people on taking them from the manifesto directly to the app to try it out? We're gonna start experimenting on some of these things. So on the next episode, I'm going to dig into the core application metrics and the core funnel metrics we look at to really diagnose our unstoppable sales funnel and improve it so we can get more conversions. Because the big thing we need to do now is like either I can focus on how do I get more leads or I can focus on how do I get more buyers. And so in the next few episodes, I'm going to actually focus on how do we get more buyers instead of more leads. Because I'm happy with 25 leads right now. I don't have to put a lot of effort. And then once we have this optimized, then we can say how do we scale our Broadway show and get more leads. Are you guys with me? So hopefully you found this helpful. If you found this valuable, if you're enjoying this kind of new format that I'm doing where I take you behind the scenes on actually applying this stuff, firstly, smash that like button. It means the world to me and my team. Secondly, comment below and give me your thoughts. Ask me questions. If you want me to cover a specific thing on a subsequent episode, I'll do that too. Number 3, if you're a SaaS founder, you actually need to make sure you have a strategy for your own personal life as well as your business. So go ahead and download my Unstoppable Life Planning Guide. The link to it is below. Or you can go to getunstoppable.com/life-strategy. If you want to just try out the app, go to unstoppablesunday.com and you can actually download the app and check that out as well. It's just as good. We actually link from the app into the manifesto once you sign up as well. So it's all kind of connected. And lastly, just tell me what you think about this new format. If you've been a longtime viewer of my channel, I was checking the stats. We did 1,000 hours of watch time over the last month, which is insane to me. So please let me know if you're getting value with this behind the scenes. What I wanted to do was try a different format where it's not as talking heady, a little bit more like just behind the scenes of actually building a SaaS business, so you can kind of follow along in the journey. And lastly, if you are building a SaaS business and you want to join me on this 1 million ARR challenge, you want to build an unstoppable sales funnel, check out my go-to-market program down below. My go-to-market program is for people that have some revenues and want to build an unstoppable sales funnel, we help you do that. And if you're just starting out, check out my SaaS School program. This is for people that have no product, no revenues, and need to clarify their idea, validate their idea, and get to their first set of customers. So you can check that. All these links are down below that I mentioned. I know I'll mention a whole bunch of these. I just have a ton of resources for SaaS founders. And so I want to make sure you have access to all of it. And remember, if you are a SaaS founder, there's two things that you need. You need an unstoppable strategy for your life, and you need an unstoppable strategy for your business. And that's what we help you do here on this channel. So be sure to be hitting that subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified of future episodes. I want to thank you guys. I feel like now I'm officially rambling. These shows are unscripted, so I run the risk of rambling. So anyway, give me feedback. I'm really excited to be doing these, and I will see you in the next episode. See you later.